back was out of the question. My body was, I was well aware that my body was behind, and it was like a banana peel. What are you going to do with a banana peel? Throw it away. And that's what it felt like. So I was flying along, and then all of a sudden I landed. I landed in a place that was solid. It had indirect lighting, and there were gurneys around, and there was equipment that was hanging from the ceiling. It was like a facility or a clinic or something. And right in front of me there were beings. There were these three short little hooded guys, and they looked exactly like those beings in the movie Communion. The guys I saw, they were in front of me. They had big smiles on their face, and they had these dark hoods and squatty little bodies. And one woman wrote to me, and she said, I was taken by these many times as a kid. And she goes, I called them the Warthog Men. The Warthog Men have come and taken me. And she said, when I saw that movie Communion, I dropped my popcorn. And says that they looked exactly like that. And I've gotten a number of emails from people saying, thank you for doing this because I thought it was just mine. So anyway, yeah, they look kind of, I don't know, creepy is the right word, but they look different. But for me, they were sweethearts. And they were saying things like, how was it? What did you learn? What can you tell us? And I was extremely confused. All of a sudden, I was in this place with these beings from a cartoon, basically. And one of them stepped forward and he took a long look at me, and then he turned to the other two and he said, he doesn't remember us. And they all started giggling. And I was like, well, guys, I'm having a little trouble. All of a sudden, things are very strange from my perspective, and I kind of remember you, but give me a little time. And they were giggling and bouncing around, and they were wonderful. And then there was this other guy, and he was sort of in charge. He was kind of in the background. He came forward, and he was this tall, wispy guy, and he had this incredible ecstatic smile. His eyes were open, his eyebrows were up, and he had this wonderful smile and laugh. And he was obviously in charge, but he was the best boss anybody could ever have. He wasn't, very strict at all. When he came forward towards me, my throat just tightened and my chest expanded. And I thought I was going to break down in uncontrollable crying from love. There was so much love pouring from this being that it was overwhelming. It was paralyzing. And I just loved it. I loved those guys. He was cool. There was some back and forth stuff. And every time I said something, he had this chuckle. I could feel it inside of me. He had this laugh. I got the impression that, looking at it from a third person, that was a relationship between a father and a child. And he loved me unconditionally. And at one point I said, I'm not going back there. No way, no how, ever. So I guess I got to move on from this place eventually. And so, what's next? A review of my life? Would you guys like to get started with that? And he just loved that. He just cracked up like I was a little toddler trying to take over. And he said, sure, let's do that. How do you want to start? So I started talking, and I was telling stories about jobs that I wish I'd taken. My wife and I got this offer for this job on an island off the coast, and we were going to live on this island by ourselves and take care of the wildlife. And it was really super remote. It was like an hour helicopter ride off the coast. And she wanted that. That was right up her alley. And I took a fire job. I still wanted excitement. But I wish I'd done that for her, because she's never asked for anything, but she did want that. So yeah, I talked a little bit about that and a few other things, and nobody was listening. They didn't care. It was obvious that I was brought in there for a quick show and tell, and I wasn't staying. It wasn't the end of my life, and I was the only one in the room that didn't know that. And at one point he said, okay, that's enough. He stepped forward like a father and said, time to go back. And that just floored me. I was like, what? Go back? I'm not going back there. There's no way. He says, yeah, you got to go back. You got things to do, and they're important. And the three little guys, it was like they were reassigned. They just disappeared. They went somewhere else in that facility, and it was just he and I. And he came forward, and he's like, okay, you're going back. And as he stepped forward, I felt myself slipping back. The place just started to break up. It started to dematerialize. It's like I was being beamed out of there, and I was going to another channel, I was going to another frequency, and it was a descending feeling, and I dropped away into darkness. It wasn't a good place.